Hi, this is Patrick Daniel. We're back on the Legal Lens with one of my oldest friends in the legal community, Rachel Deckelmann. Rachel and I worked together for, I don't even know, Rachel, 6 or 7 years, probably. And she is here to join us, and we're going to just talk a little bit about the history of the firm, our history, and what it's like, because I'd like to get Rachel's perspective on what it's like to be a mom in the workplace and transitioning from state to state since she moved to work with me here in Texas. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, Patrick. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So Rachel and I were just talking off air a little bit, and she has a little boy and a little girl, Cole and Madeline, and Cole was actually one whenever she and I first started working together. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. He was 2 months shy of turning two.
Okay. And for those of you guys that don't know anything about Rachel, Rachel has worked with me for an extensive period of time. She's now not with the firm anymore, but she's moved on to another firm. And Rachel is one of the hardest working people I know, just so people can have a little background. Rachel, you went to Loyola for law school, right?
I did for both undergraduate and law school in New Orleans.
In New Orleans. And if I recollect, you used to commute when you first started working with me from New Orleans to Lafayette every day, right?
So I commuted from New Orleans to Lafayette for about a year, and then I moved to Baton Rouge for 2 years. And so I shortened the commute by an hour, but it was still over an hour each day to Lafayette, one way. And then there was an hour or so on the way back, traffic permitting.
Yeah, I can imagine. I still don't even understand how you commuted from New Orleans. That was just true. Rachel's parents still live in the New Orleans area, isn't that right?
They do.
And Eddie's parents, Eddie's her husband. Eddie lives here in Houston, obviously, with her. How are your parents doing? Tell me a little bit about what's going on.
They're doing fine. My dad is close to retiring, so he's excited about that. And they're doing really well. So just trying to stay healthy and, amid the pandemic, but otherwise doing really well.
You know, I forgot that you, Rachel, have a house down there still, and you were there. Were you there for Katrina or there during Katrina? Or give me the skinny on that again. Did you move to Lafayette at that time?
No. So we purchased the house. We purchased the house in July of 2005, and Katrina was August of 2005. So we were in the house for a month. But I was just beginning my second year of law school when Katrina hit. So I took a semester off, and it took me 3.5 years to graduate instead of 3.
Okay. And tell us a little bit, I mean, that's a good example of how things have, we're dealing with the pandemic now, but obviously Katrina was, for the New Orleans area, devastating. Tell me a little bit about how, if you can, it had an adverse effect on that community from a legal perspective. Obviously, you had to skip a semester, not a semester off of law school.
Right. So, basically it put the brakes, just as it has done now with the pandemic. It put the brakes on the legal profession, but not globally or nationally, but just locally in that kind of southern Louisiana area. But, so of course, Katrina didn't affect northern Louisiana and, middle as much as it did the New Orleans area. So it was a very, it was a very different time period for lawyers in Louisiana. But this has gone on much longer. And, we've had to make accommodations for prescription and statute of limitation and whatnot for this. So it was much shorter time. So it spans from like August to maybe December or so. And then that January of 2006, everything started to kind of creep back.
Okay. So, that my wife and I, Nikki and I, just had a baby. You had Madeline when you were working for me. Does Madeline still go to the office with you? I
She
guess
doesn't.
you go into the office?
No, she doesn't. She's actually about 2 weeks shy of turning 1 year old. So time has flown by. But she comes every now and then, but she's back in her daycare right now.
So I know she went with you for a while. How did that work? For lack of a better way to say it. Because I
Well,
mean,
when
Cole is a rascal. He's a handful. So I mean, Madeline is obviously much more docile than him, from what I recollect. So
well, she was at the time. She's not anymore because she's mobile. So she crawls and she grabs stuff, and we just had to baby-proof the house. Put little locks on the cabinets and the stove knobs and everything, so she couldn't burn the house down. A baby gate by the stairs. So when she was coming here, it was fine because she stayed where I put her.
right.
But she doesn't do that anymore. She's an explorer.
What do you? Sorry, guys, this is turning into more of a family episode than me. I think Rachel is really helpful. I think to a lot of you, you know, female and male lawyers out there that have newborn kids or have any kids whatsoever and have to address this on a daily basis. Because Rachel has made a number of accommodations, you know, with respect to her commute, both presently, because you live in Katy now, right?
I do.
Okay. And you moved out there for the school district, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I feel like I might cross-examine you. But I mean, a big part of that concession for the commute was Cole and the school system ultimately, and the school system for Madeline, right?
Right. Well, he still attends the same school that he's always attended. We didn't want to shake up his world, and, you know, put him in a new school in third grade. So, you know, we didn't think that would be very fair to him, but we do the commute uh, from our house to the school, and then I drive into work. But when he hits high school, he's going to go to school out there.
Yeah. I mean, how have you managed to juggle both things? You know, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I know, you know, Nikki and I were talking about it yesterday, and it's really tough for, you know, moms in particular, you know, and husbands to support them, obviously, to kind of juggle both tasks. What have you learned over the course of time about how to do it? And if you had it to do over again, what would you have done differently?
So it's teamwork. There's, you know, I mean, I couldn't do any of it without the help and support of Eddie, because it's just the two of us out here with our kids, and we've made some great friends who are helpful, but, you know, ultimately it's just the two of us. And thank goodness we found daycare that we really love for Madeline, and we found a school that we love and that loves us back for Cole. So that really helps. And of course, we utilize the before care and after care programs when we need to. And, you know, you just make it work. Now, the pandemic has thrown a wrench into all of that because I was homeschooling him for about 2 months while also trying to practice as an attorney, and along with Madeline. So she was about 6 months or 7 months at the time, so very needy. So that was a challenge. And as soon as, you know, they were allowed to go back into summer camp and daycare settings, they went. So, I mean, you need to, as a working parent, you just need to find the facilities that, you know, you're comfortable with, and, you know, utilize all the help that you can from anybody who can help.
How was it, and what did you do specifically working at home with, I mean, Cole is wide open, you know, and you're telling me Madeline's pretty wide open now. So, I mean, what were you doing for the rest of those people out there that are still working at home? What were some of the accommodations and the things that you did to make that work?
Well, you know, I basically, I worked when I could. So I, you know, got up early and got in some work before the kids got up. And then when they got up, I had to make sure that he was logged into his Zoom lessons and his different classes. And then he was, squared away with his classes. And then of course I worked during Madeline's nap time. It proved challenging during Zoom depositions or Zoom mediations where I would put them both upstairs and just pray that they were both still alive when I went back to check on them.
With respect to like daycare and nannies and all of that sort of stuff, how'd you formulate your decision to do that? Because I know one of the issues is that, I mean, daycares don't keep lawyers' hours and lawyers don't keep daycare hours. What did you do to kind of decide, okay, I'm going to use a daycare versus there's got to be somebody that can help me do this? Or how did you make some of those decisions?
Well, we were really, really lucky in that a brand new daycare was being built right outside of our neighborhood. It's actually in our neighborhood when Madeline became old enough to attend daycare. Mm-hmm. And lucky in the sense that their hours are 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So there are, there are facilities out there who you do accommodate working parents and, keep their hours for us, I guess. But, and then the school, the aftercare at the school is there till 6 o'clock. So, the facilities are out there. You just have to take advantage of them.
So, okay, if I recollect, Eddie gets up really early. Like, doesn't he go to work at like 4:30 sometimes?
He gets, right.
So, you guys, a lot of times, I'm sure, aren't crossing paths a whole lot. What have you done to make sure your relationship stays strong? You're able to spend time with one another as a professional and as having a husband that works probably kind of a different schedule than yours.
So we just make the most of our time when we are together, make the most of our time as a family on the weekends. And we always sit down to dinner together every night. Sometimes it's at 6:30, sometimes it's at 7. So we just make it work the best that we can. And, some days I have to eat dinner and then get on a computer and work until, 10, 11 o'clock, whatever it takes. He's, like I said, it's really important to have a support system, and he's really supportive, and the kids just adore him, so it makes it easy too.
So, I mean, you and I have known each other for a long time, and we were talking about somebody that used to work for us that actually took care of my little boy for a while, Millie, which is not actually her real name. But we talked about what she was doing, and you were giving me the example that the lawyer she works for still does dictation on tapes. What are some of the things that you've seen change over the course of time? I mean, because we're working a lot remotely now. We have the ability to work remotely. What are some of the things that you've seen change over the course of your experience as a lawyer that have contributed positively and negatively?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, it wasn't the best circumstances to cause this remote or virtual legal field that we have found ourselves in. But I do appreciate not having to travel as much. It makes family life a whole lot easier. I do Zoom mediations, Zoom depositions. I actually did a Zoom hearing in, where was it? St. James Parish. So that was interesting to do that. And then I also had another hearing in El Paso. It's a brand new, legal world for us. But I think, it's making lawyers figure out that, maybe this is something that could work and, could keep us, because I mean, I'll tell you, I'm getting an awful lot more done not having to travel so much. Being in the office is nice. So it makes things easier. It makes it more streamlined. And then at the end of the day, it saves your client money because they don't have to pay for airfare or hotels or mileage.
Over the course of time, you've been practicing, I would have to think right now, how long? 12 years?
11 years.
11 years. What, in your opinion, is the best decision you've made in terms of how you practice as an attorney? And what is one of the things that you've done that you feel like you've corrected to help you improve as an attorney? In other words, we all have, for example, I'm really organized almost to the point of a fault, but that's the sort of thing I probably had to work on a little bit. What are some of the things as an attorney that you feel like is pretty good advice for somebody else that you've learned over the course of time?
Well, organization is definitely a very important part of being an attorney, because if you're not organized, you'll miss things. I mean, you're dealing with someone's, in a PI case, you're dealing with someone's life. And if you make a mistake on missing a deadline or missing a hearing or missing, something, then that has an effect on their life. So organization is key. I've also found that, just reading, the law is constantly changing. So you have to constantly be aware of the new rules, the new, the new thought processes. Stay on top of what the Supreme Court is saying, and not just, the U.S. Supreme Court, but in the states that you practice, and, how everybody is, responding to that. And it also, something I didn't do earlier in my practice that I do now is I like to get a feel for my venues, and just like how, research the case law, figure out how the courts have handled certain cases, and, kind of what the temperature is for my cases. And I think that helps. I mean, I think, you and I could have at least, several cases come to mind that, we could have done a little bit more research on the venues and the temperature of the people and the, different things like that I think would have helped in the long run. Did it, play a huge part? No, but I think it does play a part, and it's helpful to do that.
No, I don't disagree with you. There's one case in particular that comes to mind that I think you're thinking of as well.
Yeah.
But that brings up another thing. Hard work obviously is critical. You can't go to somebody's wedding the weekend before trial either.
That's true. Preparation is key.
Absolutely. So on to the important things. What do you miss most about Louisiana?
Okay, so I'm going to shoot for the obvious.
Besides family.
Okay, well, see, it wasn't even going to be that. I was shooting for the obvious and saying the food. So I miss my gumbo and my etouffee and my po' boys, and but I still get it every now and then. But yeah, family is important. But no, I miss certain restaurants. Although what Houston lacks in seafood and Cajun food, it makes up for in barbecue and Mexican food. So.
Well, that was my next question. What do you like most about Texas? But I'm guessing it's like El Tiempo or something along those lines.
Yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely. We've made some really great friends here, and people that I think, I would have never crossed paths with had I not moved here. So, and they're important to me. They're important to Cole and to Eddie too. So that's getting that support system. That's key, is having that support system and people that you can rely on and people that you trust. That's important.
Do you get to go back and see your family, or is your mom and your dad come here some?
So we went, we did go for Mardi Gras, but that was before, all the COVID stuff happened. And then we snuck back for a vacation, just really short vacation in Bay St. Louis. Kind of went to the Redneck Riviera for a week, which was nice. But we try to see them. We FaceTime an awful lot. I do feel for my parents, especially with the grandkids, not being able to see them. I know that's hard.
Yeah. Best piece of advice you can give a young lawyer?
Hmm. Um, so best piece of advice is start, get a clerkship, start early. You can never get you can never get your foot in the door soon enough. I mean, that was key for me is in just kind of starting the practice. I mean, don't wait until you graduate to start looking for jobs and looking for opportunities. I mean, even if it's an unpaid internship or clerkship or something, just get out there, make a name for yourself, because as you know, the practice is not what you learn in law school. It's not at all. So that's a means to an end. But get in there, get the experience, because that experience is what is going to ultimately shape you as a lawyer and shape what kind of lawyer you want to be. Be it in personal injury, if you decide you want to, do insurance defense, or you want to do something completely different. But at least you'll know, and you can make an informed decision about how you want to practice and what kind of lawyer you want to be.
I agree. I agree. Like you said, the law is ever changing and it's complex to begin with in certain situations. So I think that's
Absolutely.
nice. Well, thank you so much for coming and being with us today. I appreciate it. Um, there was one last thing I wanted to ask you, because my mom has had a difficult time without being able to see some of her grandkids. What have your parents done to kind of adjust?
Well, like I said, we FaceTime an awful lot, and we just try to keep the lines of communication open. And I call every day, and they get to see the kids. We send pictures, and it's not the same. I mean, I have an aunt who has a brand new, her first grandchild, and she has not seen him yet. And I can't imagine, and he's like 2 months, and I can't imagine that not being able to see him. She gets her pictures, but it's not the same. But I mean, I think it's also important for everyone to, exercise social responsibility so that we can go back to some semblance of normalcy, so that grandparents can see their grandkids, because it's hard. I mean, it really is hard.
I like the disclaimer that we have to make sure that we're exercising social responsibility.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. And please tell your family hello. And from those of us here at Patrick Daniel Law on the Legal Lens, we will see you next week. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.